Once upon a time, during the Japanese era, there was a woman living in the hut on the precipice. She had stayed there for almost 2 weeks. Her husband visits her every day and stayed for only 2 hours to 3 hours. After her husband left, one or the other of the neighbors came up, and ambience became different. It is because the people who came up broke the silence of the place. She would have liked it if they can stay longer, but they couldn't. Since she was sick, she could say nothing to people. The next day, old Emilio and Cyril left their carabaos standing in the plain field. As the carabao crossed the river, Emilio and Cyril rose up and stood up at doorstep, spitting out flakes of tobacco and betel nut, while as they ran, and they disappeared into thin air, and she was left all alone. From the pallet where she lay a few inches from the door, all she could see were the tops of ipil-ipil trees arching over the damp humus soil of the forest, and a very small section of the path leading from her hut downward along the edge of the precipice to the river, where it was a steep short drop of 20 or 30 feet to the water. They used a ladder on the bushy side of the cliff to climb up and down the path, let down and drawn up again, and no one from the outside the area could know of the secret hut built too close to guerrilla headquarters. 3 weeks ago, in the night, they had all fled up to the forest, thinking a patrol had finally penetrated. That night, she had twisted her kneecap. Marina remembered how she and Flavia and Flavia's daughter had groped their way up the precipice behind their faster neighbors. How the whole of that night the 3 of them had cowered in this dark. Nobody knew the reason for the alarm sounded by headquarters until the next morning, when Carlos and 2 other guerrillas paddled around the river from camp and told everyone to come down from the precipice. It was not an enemy troops, but the boys chasing after the Japanese prisoner who had escaped. Sleep about 4 hours when she awoke uneasily. She was aware of movements under the hut. Something was fumbling at the door of the compartment below the floor, where the supply of rice and corn was stored in tall bins. She was deciding the creature had gone away when she saw a stooping shape creep along the wall and turn back. Sleeping by so quickly, she could deceive herself into believing she imagined it. A short, stooping creature. Its footsteps were heavy and regular, and then, unexpectedly, running together as if the feet were tired or sore. She had suspected the monkey, but didn't shoot. In a little while, she heard a voice calling down the path, Carlos. When he was near the hut, in a quick gesture that had become a habit, he touched the back of his hand on her forehead.
Good, no fever.
I can't stay up here. I must go down. There is something here. You don't know what's happening. You don't know, or you won't make me stay.
It's the monkey again.
Man or monkey or evil, I can't stay up here anymore.
Something must be done. This can't go on.
I'll go down and be with the others.
I wish that were the best thing. God knows why I wish it were. You decided this yourself, and very wisely, Nina. You must go down and only when you're ready. These are critical days for all of us in this area. If something breaks, the job you know, think what will happen to you down there, with me at headquarters. You've known of reprisals. I wish I could be here at night. What I am saying is this. It's a job you must do by yourself. Since nobody is allowed out of headquarters after dark, the monkey must be shot, or you're not safe here anymore.
You know I can't shoot.
We are continuing your lessons. You still remember, don't you?
It was long ago, and it was not really in earnest. He put his rifle into her hands. She lifted it, and as its weight yielded coldly to her hand, she said suddenly, "I'm glad we're doing this."
You remember how to use the sight?
Yes, all the clocks you taught me.
Aim it and shoot.
She aimed with a scar on the trunk of the tree near the door, the monkey's tree. She pressed on the trigger. Nothing happened. She pressed it again. "It isn't loaded."
It is.
"The trigger won't move. Something's wrong."
Enough. Now you'll do. But you unlock first. Remember, nothing can ever come out of a locked gun.
"The trigger won't move. Something's wrong." He took it from her.
It's locked. You forgot it as usual. Enough, you'll do. But you unlock first. Remember, nothing can ever come out of a locked gun.
He left early in the afternoon, about 2 o'clock. Just before sundown, the monkey came. It swung along the trees on the edge of the precipice and leaped down on a path and wandered around near the hut. It must be very, very hungry, she thought, with a little wonder which she could not help. It must be very hungry, or it would not be so bold. It sidled forward all the time, eyeing her intently, inching toward the grain room below the stairs. As it suddenly rushed toward her, all the anger and frustration of the last 2 years of war seemed to unite into one necessity, and he snatched up the gun, shouting and screaming, "Get out! Get out! Thief! Thief!" The monkey wavered. It did not understand the pointed gun she brandished. It came forward softly, slowly, its feet hardly making any sound on the ground. She aimed, and it slipped past the stairs and was rounding the corner to the grain room. She fired again, and once again straight into its back. The loud explosions resounded through the trees. The birds in the forest flew in confusion, and their high, excited chatter floated down through the leaves. The black monkey was dead. It was dead. She had killed it. The way that the author told the story, it was like Paz Marquez Minita's Dead Stars. She didn't exactly start at the very beginning. Instead, he started it at somewhere near the middle. She really was much into every detail of the scene rather than the conversations of the characters, which was kind of boring at first with all the descriptions without some real action into it. But at the end, the action heightens and never leaves the reader hanging. It was a full circle of the climax and its ending.
The story is about a half-paralyzed woman's adventure, about her experience with monkey, with death, and how she overcomes her fear.
Black Monkey takes the reader into a journey or experience of one woman who races on her own as she encounters a situation wherein there's no one who can help her but herself, and that even if she had dragged down by her paralyzed lower body, it didn't stop her to overcome her fears. It's a lesson about how a person within oneself tries to do what he or she can in order to overcome and get through a predicament.